I'm seriously with a mixed reaction, particularly about the story of the man who killed his father. I don't know.
You were actually saying it's a beautiful day, a good thing to be alive, and my mind just flashed to that incident where a 70-year-old man shot his son over food. Like he went into his room, according to the story, pulled out his gun, and then pulled the trigger on his son. And the story says that the boy, who is 28 years old, he came back home, he entered the kitchen, pick up food, and eat. Unknowingly to him, the food belonged to his father, and that was the last food in the house.
Wow.
And the man came home, entered the kitchen to get his food, and there was no food again. He just came out and pulled the trigger.
You know, it goes a lot to say and talk to the situation that we found ourselves as a nation, where
Is that
hunger becomes this tight and painful.
This is father-son thing, relationship, and someone just killed the son over food, a plate of food.
I'm trying to wrap my head around why exactly would you go that intense. But then again, I would only urge every single person watching us this beautiful morning to please, as much as you can, try and manage your personality. If you have anger issues, you cannot control it for some very odd reasons, have it at the back of your head that yes, you might be really, really hurting someone, even with words. So at this point, we need to be not only mindful of our personality, but also be very emotionally intelligent, because this is about the time that we need to consistently show love, no matter how very tiny it is. All right, we're just gonna dive into this beautiful morning. What's our talking point this morning? Rebuilding Nigeria won't be something I do quickly. The presidency has come out to say this, and that is one of our talking points this morning.
We also have Nigerian Army uncovers 40 oil wells in Rivers community, and they've also arrested suspects. Wow.
Interesting. Interesting. Now, this is going to be our major conversation for today. But before we get into the discussion, let's encourage you to click on the subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And of course, subscribe to our page. Click the bell button to always get notification whenever we come up to you live. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. First off, let's dive straight into the dailies. Let's know and see what the front pages are saying this morning. Well, we'll be having our guests join us hopefully in a couple of minutes, particularly after the newspaper review. So we definitely will be expecting this amazing analysis to help us go through our discussion this morning. Fina, you want to help us with the first paper?
Exactly. Looking at the paper, and this is from the Punch. Beneath the nameplate, it says a SIM NIN linkage, NCC rolls out extension and telecos by 12 million lines. The rider says MTN, Airtel, others vow to enforce NCC order by midnight Wednesday. Yeah, you know, they give them this, the ultimatum to short out all the SIMs that have not been linked to NIN, and that order will start from the 28th day of February. Okay, above the nameplate, the window story, I take full responsibility, Nigeria will recover. This is coming from the president, Tinubu. You can get that on page 22 of the Punch newspaper. Subsidy removal, petrol import crashes by 990 million litres monthly. Shoika delivers Punch 50th anniversary lecture, and that is on the page 28 of the newspaper, Punch newspaper. We have a pictorial, and this pictorial says it's about the Punch and the exhibition. We have Osoba envoys and others comment Punch at the photo exhibition. Okay, beneath that pictorial, FG to crash drug prices gets $1 billion from Afrex Mixed Bank. Gridlock looms as president visits Lagos. Makinde suspends revenue collection on farm produce, and you can get that on page 27 of the Punch newspaper. That is the last but not the least story of the page Punch newspaper.
All right. I think I particularly am concerned with NCC ruling out extension to telcos
Yeah.
to bar some lines that haven't registered their NIN with, you know, with their numbers. It's quite an interesting time here. So one gets to ask, is this measure of linking your NIN and your NIN to your line? A lot of persons have done it before. So
Yeah, some people actually will tell you that, yeah, maybe they did it before now, and they also, maybe they misplaced the same card, they had to get on that same card and all that. But you know that, according to what the NCC says, as a Nigerian, you're entitled to 4 numbers of any of the telecoms, you understand? So maybe, and people also have been talking about the fact that we have our NINs linked to our numbers. So what phone numbers are the in quotes now, the kidnappers, the insurgent groups, what numbers are they using to contact the family members of these people that, you know, they kidnapped? And that is why they are trying to toughen up with the bar of anybody that does not link the NIN to the SIM, okay? I think it's actually a good one if we can do this. Because, if, for example, if you get to the Western world where an individual is entitled to like 10 numbers or 100 numbers, you know, you find out that when you use a phone number to commit any crime, they will trace it to your house, to your father, to that place where you registered as your, you know, your the address, your contact address. But here, people actually, most times, someone can even, it got to this point, David, where someone can go and register a SIM card for another person.
Oh.
I don't know if you've noticed it. Yes. Yes.
Is that even possible?
Bad? Is that bad? Yes. Someone can pick up a SIM, register the SIM for someone, not knowing the implication of that. I want to do this. I was somewhere, and someone was like, I went to register a SIM card for my brother.
Are you serious?
And I was like, why will you do that for your brother? Is it because my brother is here to get his NIN? So she registered the SIM card in her name for her brother. And you know, those are actually what we're looking at. So, because someone can use
that would be a bit implicating, because when you do that and then your brother goes to do some fraudulent deals, the line will be linked to you.
And not just that, too. Sometimes too, when you decide to buy some SIM cards, you find out that SIM card has been used for by someone else.
Oh yes, there is.
You notice that too, because
there is the part where the SIM card is for someone else, and the person possibly did not come back to retrieve the line after possibly misplacing it. There is also the possibility that, yes, that SIM card can be sold again to another person. But then, the one you actually mentioned now is quite disturbing. Why would you go register
for someone? I don't know, maybe it's trust. I want to be for my brother. And
let's move up to another headline, which is very important that for me here. Federal government to crash drug prices, gets $1 billion from Afrexim Bank. This seems like a good news.
Yeah, given the fact that things are a bit high now.
Particularly,
but you know, I don't think it's all the
drugs.
drugs. I don't think it's all the drugs that it can actually crash the price. Let's get there, because there was one I wanted to get.
Okay.
You know, and I could remember that I asked them how much is this, and they told me how much they were selling. I was like, why? I don't know when I had that, like, you know, the price made me to ask why.
They'll be asking you what part of the country are you from?
Exactly. That was, when I go from, I was like, what do you mean why? Don't you know what we're having?
Exactly. I was going to go there. Like, really, you don't. Where did you wake up from?
And they were like, okay, fine, I understand, but is there no discount? and then the lady says the price on it is what we can actually sell. But I guess it's good, you know, given the fact that we are having so many economic challenges. But you know, crashing down the price is what I believe will actually help us.
All right, let's get to another paper almost immediately, and we'll be going straight to the Vanguard newspaper. Now, the banner headline here reads, Orosoye's report, federal government labor disagree on job losses. There won't be job losses, federal government. That's the subwriter. There will be massive job losses from labor. Still telling you the subwriter there. NLC asks affiliates to furnish it with implications on members. Still giving you the subwriter on that same headline, the major banner headline there. CUC says three-man committee. Scrapped Senate. We don't need bicameral legislature. This is coming from Sassano. It's a welcome development, but shouldn't be done in a hurry. This is also coming from Peter Obi. That's also telling you the subrider of that particular banner headline. The final subrider there says, being in opposition does not warrant blind, thoughtless criticism. Interesting one. Interesting one. There's a major pictorial there, still on the Vanguard newspaper. The headline there, the pictorial there is on President Bola Tinubu. Excuse me. President Bola Tinubu commensurating with the wife of the late former governor of Ondo State, in person of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who has passed on and since been buried. We also find there Olayide Adelami, Deputy Governor, and Ondo State Governor, none other than Lucky Aidatiwa. It's a major pictorial there. You can see that on the screen as well. All right, above the nameplates there, there is another headline that is interesting. It says investors lose 1.5 trillion naira in stocks over new monetary policy. Wow. Investors lose 1.5 trillion naira in stocks over new monetary policy. Also above the nameplate there, you find we called off strike over threats of intimidation. Now this is coming from Ajero, which is quite disturbing. Was it the strike that was called off or the protest that was called off? I understand there is the ultimatum given, but then we'll just come to that. Let me just continue reading out these headlines. Also above the nameplate, you find Edo Guba, fresh crisis, bruise in PDP. The subrider there says, give me certificate of return or face lawsuit. Schwab tells NWC, that's a National Working Committee. I will surpass Obasaki's performance if elected. Igodalo is coming to say that also is a subrider there on above the nameplate of that particular headline that I read about Edo Goba. All right, another headline here above the nameplate is on Wigwe, family fixes dates for burial rites. Also there you find they're marking their moves against rising food prices in Oyo State. Now, just below that pictorial of the Vanguard newspaper, the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, you find here on Mabila, I have no regrets paying Ogunloye's medical travel bills. Now, this is from Adesoya. And then also Tinubu to Nigerians, I won't rush to restructure. The subrider there says, Akeredolu was a fearless defender of truth. President is indeed Akete's brother friend. Akeredolu's widow is the one saying this. Also below there, you find some other headline. There is also an editorial on by Olufasan, a very interesting one. You can read it up. If Abacha could push Tinubu to disavow Nigeria's oneness, what moral justification does his government have to brand Nigerians clown or unpatriotic for venting their frustration on Twitter or elsewhere about Nigeria, about how Nigeria is run? All right, still giving you more headlines right there in the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. On sports, Oseni fires hat-trick in big Serie A win for champions Napoli. Also, you find that Tinubu secures 1 billion naira Afrexim Bank grant for medical industrialization. The subrider there says to sign executive order on reduction on cost of drugs. That's about it inside, or I beg your pardon, the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. At this point, it's quite interesting to note that the NLC president, Joe Ajero, is openly telling Nigerians that they've called off strike over threats of intimidation.
And one wants to ask, who is the person doing this intimidation? Who is intimidating
yes.
NLC?
I think I had a glimpse of that story before coming on air, and he was actually saying to the fact that some persons are saying that the people you're defending are still in job. The moment you start off this strike, they'll be out of job, and that will be leaving them jobless, and you know what that means for the people. So that seemed to be a very, very major issue at this point. But then it's quite interesting to note that the NLC president is bowing to pressure. That sounds quite something for me.
No, one might say maybe he's trying to be, intentional about taking the decision he wanted to take. Now, he's fighting for the people of Nigeria. Let's put it that way. He's fighting for Nigerians because that is what the whole protest is all about the economic hardship and untold hardship that we're facing in the country. And now people are of the opinion that when you fight for these people and then you go on strike, automatically some people will resort to working from home, reducing the number of people that come to work and all that. You understand? And that will affect the people you're fighting for. And not just forget also that the DSS also warned about the protests. People warned about the protests before Falana came out to say, I'll tell the police to give them protection.
But speaking to that DSS issue, I find it quite interesting. A peaceful protest is enshrined in the law. Every citizen can. So you don't want to, in my words now, you don't want to deprive the citizens and the people
of their rights.
So that's why I said I find it interesting that the DSS is actually saying that protest shouldn't go on.
But you know that some people have the opinion that a hungry man is an angry man. Thinking that maybe NLC will not be able to curb the attitude or the action or reaction of the people when they march out to do the protest. Forgetting that individuals on their own have embarked on the protest. Without being under the umbrella. You understand?
That's another interesting part. I mean, looking at it from the point of the people now, quite a number of persons from different quarters. It started from Niger State, trickling down to Ogun State and all. A lot of persons have even been having that peaceful protest. And of course, I think what's important is the fact that as a government, it's expected that the people should come first. The welfare of the people should come first. What are the people saying at this time? If there is some level of hunger in the land, it should be tackled.
But the president told you that you have to hold on for him. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, he said. So we have to hold on. That was what he told us. And he also urged us to do what? To try as much as we can to be positive. He said, try to speak about Nigeria in a positive manner. So even if you're hungry, it's expected you wake up and say, let the weak say they are strong. You know?
That's some sarcasm there, really.
But now look at this now. Orosanye brought out, there was a report 12 years ago, 2012, that Orosanye dropped about how we can actually, manage the cost of governorship or governance. The cost of governance in Nigeria. And, Tinubu came, good luck looked at it, and then at the end of the day,
it's also implemented
during his administration.
Yes.
And then we have the other President Buhari came and looked at it, and now Tinubu came and said, we are implementing this in 8 weeks. Let's say it that way. And this actually has brought up serious argument. Some people are saying there will be loss of job. NLC, to be precise, say there will be loss of job if they carry out the merging of some commission or some MDAs, and even scrapping of some and all that. And federal government is saying there will not be any job loss. I don't know if you get that. Now, so what is happening? Because
but again, I honestly think it will be managed very well if you bring together, merge these MDAs, and maybe one that seems to be superior is merged with one that is not superior. The only thing that would happen is the fact that there would be what one would want to call reduction in ranking authorities, right?
What happened to the directors?
Which might bring about clash of interest.
Now you understand what I'm talking about.
But the interest should still remain Nigerian. which is very, very most important.
But it's very, very difficult for some people to say, okay, I want to sacrifice my own job for the betterment of the country, given the fact that maybe they don't have anything to fall back on.
Okay.
The way the whole thing is going to look like now. Because if you tell me that you want a director, they actually brought this by making the Civil Service Commission to have hierarchy. Level 8, this, then I get to the directorate
the hierarchy
level.
thing is always
And now you wake up and they say you want to take out, or you want to merge to MDA. What happened to the two orgas? Would they have two captains at the head?
Exactly.
Inside the ship, or how is it going to be?
From my own, little understanding of it, what I think would happen would be that, like I said, there would be the very important MDAs and the not so important MDAs merging up. Now, the very important MDAs would have, so if you are the director of the not so important MDA, you would be an assistant to this MDA, which
when you talk about important MDAs and not very important MDAs, have you forgotten that these people we're talking about spend the same time in the civil service?
Let me ask you a question. Who's paying the salary?
No. Okay, now you're talking about who's paying the salary now. But you know that in Nigeria, or let's say Africa, average African.
So let's stay with Nigeria because Nigeria is what
okay, fine. But you know that in Nigeria, actually, they hold on to what I call vent designation. They hold on to designation a lot, whereby a doctor will come in and tell you have to call me ambassador, doctor, blah. They'll keep on talking about the things that they've accumulated and all. So now when you wake up and say you want to make someone who have actually worked and the person happened to be in this service for like 16 years and all that, and the person is now a director in his or her own MD, and they wake up and say, I'm bringing you down to be assistant director. I don't really think that they will be able to work effectively.
Assistant director in the merged MDA.
Okay, in the merged MDA.
That's the part that we really.
We are not even there, so let's leave it there for them.
Let's move on to another paper quickly. Fina, if you have another one, let's just dive to it.
Okay, fine. We'll have to look at the Guardian newspaper, and beneath the nameplate, it says Nigeria spends about 50% of all earnings on production costs.
That's about a headline.
That's about a headline.
Okay.
Nigeria spends about 50% of all earnings on production costs. Wow, 50%. And there's a pictorial there too. And in this pictorial, we have where they say the NNPC alone spent over 267.98 billion naira on securing its assets in 16 months, which means the entire industry could be spending about 1 trillion naira on insecurity in the period. We also have per barrel cost of oil production by country, and there's a rundown. United Kingdom $44.33, and Iraq $10, Iran $9, with Nigeria having $43.
Just go ahead. I was going to react to this almost immediately, but let's just go ahead.
And they say that average global cost of producing a barrel is just $25.
Now, interestingly, also on that pictorial you're talking about, we find where you have the factors
responsible for high production, of course.
For the high cost. You want to reel that out? Because
and they say I have to read it. Human resources, 38%, logistics, 19%, handling costs, 13%, direct lifting, 9%, security costs, even regulatory and other auxiliary costs also are included to be what make this production cost to be like about 50%. Okay, beneath the pictorial, FG recruits 2,497 medical professionals to address brain drain. And you can get that on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Interest rate hike takes toll on stock markets as investors lose 1.4 trillion naira. How FG threatens intimidated us to suspend nationwide protest. And this is coming from Jero. You can get that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper.
So now it's the federal government who threatened them. Okay,
yeah.
Let's go ahead.
Pro panel on Buhari's government is a 30 trillion loan seat next week to summon CBN officials. And that is from you can get that on page 2, Panorama. Okay, now imagine they say they are going to
Are you
sit.
done with the headlines?
Yes, I think that's the last but not the least story.
Okay. All right.
Should we okay, let me take this other one. It says that IEDs kill 2 workers at Borno construction site. Still on the Guardian newspaper. Nigeria okays a $17.64 billion dollars per oil development plan as rigs jump to 30. Disconnection imminent as subscribers flood NIMC's teleco outlets. And that is on page 15 of the Guardian newspaper. And that is the last story.
Okay. Again, I really have to come to this disconnection of subscribers from telecommunication companies. What we see is some level of communication not being managed well.
Yeah.
If you are saying as a telecom subscriber that your line, your mobile number is not registered, come and register it. Then be specific on who the messages are for. Not just throw it out in public and everybody is clampering on the fact that, but I've done this before, why am I going to do it again? And it's quite disturbing.
You know, I that is why sometimes I ask this question: is it that we embrace, in quotes, we embrace the well, I say that the technologies or the modern technologies now, the modern facility and technologies so soon? Because if, for example, Nigerians have thought about what to happen and how they are going to go about this telecommunication thing, SIM cards, individuals who are using it, they would have started this process from the beginning.
It's unbelievable, really.
From beginning, you know, because that's how it should have been, whereby you walk in to say, okay, I want to get a SIM card now, I want to have a mobile phone, and they will tell you, okay, fine, no problem. What is your name? But it falls back to the data that we don't have.
Yes.
The data collection that we don't have in Nigeria. Because let's assume everybody, we have the number of people who are living in a particular place. We'll be able to know the number of persons
But I really, yes,
registration.
very, very true.
Unlike
very,
telling
very
us now, we've been using, some of us have been using our SIM card for so many years.
Data is very, very
and you tell
key.
us to go back again to want to register.
But here's my annoyance, because right now it's beginning to annoy me. Well, I'm only human to actually feel this way. You discomfort Nigerians from their legitimate workplace to come flood your office and then find out that their SIMs have already been registered before.
There's another thing again we can actually do.
Is it that some level of disturbance that the government at this point needs to really look at? Because I have to call the government, because the Federal Ministry of Digital Economy also is also vocal on this. But painfully, right? I think the telcos should tell their subscribers to, the ones that have registered before, don't bother coming.
Instead of sending out a bulk SMS or message to people,
Do you
right?
understand?
Because you can be like, okay, sometimes do you notice that when you want
Do
to
you
make calls,
understand?
sometimes they'll tell you,
You don't have airtime. Whereas you have over a million.
Do you know what happened yesterday? Do you know what happened yesterday? I couldn't. I have to like. I was so upset yesterday. I couldn't make calls.
Oh yes.
And then nobody sent any message to anybody to say we're having issues with maybe the internet or the network provider is not having issues that we can't be able to make calls, and now it's becoming a bit alarming. You walk and get your money, and then get your SIM. Now you recharge the phone, the SIM card you're using, and at the end of the day, you won't even be able to make calls with them, even when there's an emergency. And no one actually is there to be held responsible. I think we need to wake up and put our house together and know the thing to do and how to do it, because it's not really funny anymore. It's
Again,
not really funny anymore.
at this point use this medium to speak to all network subscribers in Nigeria. However, you need to manage the situations of Nigerians, because like we said at the beginning of the show, this is about the time that we all have to be emotionally intelligent to manage ourselves. And most importantly, network providers in Nigeria, we urge you to please do the right thing by sending your messages to the very right people who need these messages, not just throwing out full bulk SMSs to Nigerians telling them they would be disconnected, and then they come back to your office and you're telling them they have registered before. That is some level of discomfort, and you don't want to angry some persons at this time. We only hope that it's going to be managed and managed pretty well. That's about it on the newspaper review this beautiful morning. We'll be diving straight into our discussion of the day. Fina, you want to help us with that?
And it says, I will not rebuild Nigeria overnight. And this is coming from the President, Tinubu. Details and more when we return after the quick break.